All right, good evening, Cal State San Marcos families. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's fun to see some of you are zooming in from near and some from much further away. Hopefully you're all staying safe with all these fires and excessive heat in quite a few different areas. And of course with the virus and everything going on otherwise. But thank you so much for joining us. This will be a fun family webinar session guiding your students to get involved on campus and at Cal State San Marcos. We hope that your student gets involved even in this virtual setting that we have right now. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our two presenters we have for the evening, but first I'd also like to introduce Tyler Villamont, who's our coordinator for New Student and Family Programs, and he will be supporting us in the chat and periodically with questions and whatnot like that. I have been on Zoom so much today that I can't even remember if I introduced myself, but my name is Christiana Moen, the Director for New Student and Family Programs. And so oftentimes you're getting emails from me in correlation to our family programs, events, and opportunities. So if ever you have questions or need support, feel free to write in the chat. I'll also be following along there. If you'd notice on the screen, if you could make sure that you go ahead and rename yourself, that'll be real helpful for us to make sure that we get you checked in. Or if you can message either Tyler or myself in the chat privately if you're not able to rename yourself. Sometimes there's challenges when you're zooming in from a cell phone, to just message us on the side with your name and your student's name. That would be fantastic. But with that, I'd like to turn it over to our two fabulous presenters for this evening. We have Tony Pang from our Student Leadership and Involvement Center here on campus. He oversees that area, and another friend of ours from the Student Life area overseeing the LGBTQA Pride Center on campus. We have Robert Isla Hauser, and so if you'll give them a fabulous warm welcome, you can do your virtual applause. I'll go ahead and turn it over to them.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christiana. Let me go ahead and switch over to be able to share our screen. And I apologize if you're hearing that. It sounds like my 2-year-old decided to share that he wants some attention right now. So hopefully mom can help out in that right now. But so I'll go ahead and continue on as best as I can. As Christiana mentioned, my name is Tony Pang, and I have the privilege to serve as the director for our Student Leadership and Involvement Center. And then we'll go ahead and talk a little bit more about what that area is. But it is a component of the student life area here at CSU San Marcos. I have a master's degree in student affairs and higher education, and I also have a bachelor's degree in biological sciences from UC Irvine, which is a testament that you can learn anything in college and move on to be able to do a lot of other things. So I'm very excited and proud of that. And for my master's, I went to Colorado State. And I'll go ahead and pass it over to Robert to allow him to introduce himself in a little bit more detail as well.
Thank you, Tony. Yes, so as Christiana said, my name is Robert Ayala Hauser, and I use he, they pronouns. I am an alum of Cal State San Marcos. I have a teaching credential, multi-subject, so I taught elementary school for a short while. And then I also have a master's in multicultural education from the university. I've been on campus for almost 11 years in a professional role, served as a student employee in my 40s, so not a normal student on campus, before that and during my time in the teaching credential program. So I've been around for quite a while, have worked through many orientations, have talked to many, many parents on parent orientation days. So hopefully you all are not nervous, ready to kind of take in the information. Tony and I are pretty laid back, relaxed, so there's not gonna be a quiz. I do also teach on campus, so I'm in a lecture in the Gender Studies department, and I've been doing that for about 10 years. So I also wear that kind of faculty hat on campus.
Yeah,
I know, I'm excited to be here. I love meeting parents, and more so because I think I spend so many times with students who are more my children's age than I do. I get to be around people that are more my age. So I think sometimes that's a fun relief.
Yeah, so as Robert mentioned, we are really excited that you are new Cougar families and that you are joining us this evening. And we're excited to talk to you about just really awesome ways that your students can get involved in our areas and just in general on campus. So in particular, we're going to be talking about student life. So what is student life, Robert?
I know, what is student life? So I am curious. I guess we can use the chat. What were you all expecting? I mean, there's a problem. I think there's like 6 of these different programs, right, Christiana? And so you all chose to come to this one, and then you all made it a point to be here. So it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe about 10 folks made it of those that signed up. So I'm really curious if you can type in the chat kind of what brought you to kind of the CSUSM student life presentation and how your student can get connected.
So you can go on. So how to encourage participation without turning your kid off of doing so? That's a good question. How to encourage your student to get involved without nagging? So similar case.
Or I knew that would be one. I hear it year over year over year. And we're going to help you. We're going to help you with that because I do believe that, as Tony already said, you are part of the Cougar family now. And so I think even more so with everything being virtual, even if your student is living on campus, there's still this almost disconnect with being a part of campus. And so I think as a team, we have to kind of all come together and be a part of that. And so we're going to give you lots of suggestions and ways to kind of know what's going on, but not necessarily be, as someone, I'll use the term, be the nag, but really be, I think, just as excited as we want your student to be in some of the things that we offer. Living on campus.
Yep. Seeing what kind of orgs are available to students.
Nice.
Virtually involved. These are all great questions. These are all hopefully we were bringing the answers to these questions for sure too. So
yes, and it looks like we're probably going to cover most of these. So if you think of something as we're going through, please know we're going to have plenty of time at the end for even more questions. And even I like that last section to really be a chat, kind of back and forth, and let's see kind of, how we can help each of you to be more connected. So from our perspective, student life is kind of a group of organizations, and we're going to go through each of them. But we really are here to help students get connected. You're going to see some statistics ahead that show that students that are connected do much better on campus. And I've seen that over the 11 years. Sometimes statistics, and I even question them, can be kind of skewed in a certain direction, and you may think, oh well, they're education and they're doing the student life thing, so they're going to say that. I have seen it. Our students that are involved, even if it's just one thing, do so much better in their classes. We do a variety of things, from promoting wellness to developing student leadership. We focus on inclusivity, which is one of our campus's values. Social justice, cultural identity, helping students really develop their own identity. And one of the things that I press with students a lot is getting to know folks that are different than them. We live in a very, here goes my degree, multicultural society, and we all know the world is changing. And I tell students all the time, you never know who your supervisor is going to be. You never know who that $1 million contract is going to be. And so getting to know as many people that are different than you, that you maybe haven't been exposed to back home, is going to benefit you. You're going to get to know them. You're going to get to know their cultural expectations. And it's going to help you when you meet that person. That $1 million business opportunity walks in the door and they are very different than you. Hopefully along your journey at Cal State, you've met someone that may have had a similar experience, similar life experience. And so it's going to, in the end, to be able to help you. We do what we call co-curricular stuff, really trying to connect, and here's the lecturer part in me, connect the things that students are learning in the classroom, which tends to be the book learning, the smarts. But we want them to use that in their life eventually, but so we give them opportunities to be able to do that in kind of a safe, inclusive environment where we can support them through that learning. And so we're not just setting that bird free and letting them fly away, and cross our fingers, hope that what they learned in the classroom, they're going to be able to use. We give them opportunities to do that, to really engage in dialogue, to really use the things that they're learning in class to then dialogue with other students, other faculty, other staff, other professionals, folks from the community. So encompasses a lot, but I think we're going to, as we go through the presentation, get into smaller chunks and specifics. And so hopefully that gives you a broader spectrum idea of what student life is.
And I think Robert gave some really great examples about really connecting, the things that your students are learning in the classroom, but then that they will need to be able to connect them to external experiences and really make them come to life. And that's really, what our hope is. And as you can see on the slide, maybe summarized in 3 short words, really connect, engage, and lead. Those are, really primary things that all of our offices do and provide and offer to your students. We're gonna show a really quick video that kind of highlights all of our areas. Obviously, this video was taken definitely before the experiences that we're going through now, but it still showcases the core beliefs and ideas of what we are trying to provide to our students. And we've obviously shifted a lot of these programs and services to the virtual environment, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about what that looks like now. But I'm going to go ahead and play this video for you just to kind of see all the things, we showed a list to you, we're going to show you a list of those things, but this kind of brings to life a little bit of what the different offices within student life do. So.
Here at Cal State San Marcos, there are many different ways to get involved in student life. One of the best ways to get integrated onto campus is through making connections, attending university programs, and so much more. Let's first get started at campus recreation.
So I just joined sports clubs here at CSUSM. What else does Campus Rec have to offer me?
Here at CSUSM, Campus Rec has many different options to help focus on your health and wellness.
With all these beautiful locations surrounding our school,
adventure is necessary. Us at Outdoor Adventures steal your breath away by extending affordable trips to you that span across the land, some even to other states, but also assist in those trips that sit close to home, such as beach goings and other opportunities. The outdoors is something we cherish deeply and think all people should.
Here are some fitness classes going on right now.
That class is so great. I'm so glad Campus Recreation has a variety of classes to offer and practice my wellness.
Hey!
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
We just came from an intramurals game right now.
That's awesome. We'll catch you guys later.
Hey, cool. Let's get going. So what'd you think about the game?
Dude, it was really fun.
You have
to
to check out our other sports, like football, beach soccer, volleyball, like a bunch of fun, diverse sports. You can be competitive while having fun at the same time.
Yo, we gotta go!
Is that you?
Yeah, I gotta go.
All right, man. Catch you later.
Hey! We're USU Live. We're a group of students here in the USU that create inclusive and diverse programs in the University Student Union, the heartbeat of campus. We have fun, free food events. Come check it out.
Check out this flyer. The Black Student Center is a place that likes to have a welcoming environment for all students. We like to promote social, academic, and cultural consciousness. And we like to have collaborations with other academic resources like the Math Lab, the STEM Lab, places like that. So if you ever need any assistance or ever need any help, be sure to ask for me. My name's Quincy. It was nice meeting you.
Hi, welcome to the Cross Cultural Center, where we are a safe and diverse community for students to come and hang out. Here we have the refrigerator and microwave that students can use, desk area for students to come and do homework, computers for students to do their research, and the couch area for students to come and just hang out.
We also do programs throughout the semester for the campus community. We focus on 4 main themes: advocacy and activism, multicultural competence, critical engagement across social identity groups, and retention of underserved students.
Hey, did you have a question?
Hi, yes. This is my first time here, and I was wondering if I could get some information about the center.
Yeah, so we're the Latina Center, and we're an inclusive resource center. And some of the things we offer is free printing and free testing supplies. We also have academic and cultural events. For example, we have our Posada, which promotes cultural traditions on campus.
Hey, do you have a free printing here?
Yeah.
And here's your printing.
Oh, thank you so much.
Hey, I've noticed that you're a new face around here.
I am.
Oh, would you like to hear about our center by any chance?
I'd love to.
Awesome. So the Gender Equity Center is one of our various resource centers, but we have a unique parenting corner, but we're also a brave space of learning where we host programs and events for our students on different aspects of life, such as feminism, masculinity, and social justice as a whole. But other than that, we are an open community to students of various intersecting identities where we welcome them with open arms and pride. Just a place to hang out and get to know one another.
Sounds wonderful.
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
I'm new to the Pride Center. I just want to know what goes on here, what the center is all about.
Oh yeah, nice to meet you. My name is Fernanda.
Nice to meet you.
This is the LGBTQ Pride Center, basically a space and community for the LGBTQ community to feel safe and brave, as well as a space to educate our allies. Basically, we have a lot of services, including the lounge area, feel at home as you will, computer services, and we do have a lot of events geared towards educating the ally community as well as empowering and serving our queer youth. If you have more questions, feel free to ask me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, see you later.
Welcome to the Cougar Pantry. Everything in here is free and students can come in once a week with their student ID to get free groceries. We're a part of Associated Students Incorporated, and one step at a time,
we're helping fight food insecurity. Here at Associated Students Incorporated, our mission is to serve, engage, and empower all of our students. We serve students through a variety of different initiatives, such as the 24/5 zone in the library and helping students with student emergency funding. We engage our students through different events, such as Festival 78 and CougarCon, and we empower our students by providing a wide range of different leadership opportunities.
Hi, welcome to Student Life. Welcome to Student Life and Leadership, home to over 140 student organizations and clubs. Here we also house a lot of fraternities and sororities, both multicultural and social. There's lots of ways for you to get involved, and if there isn't a club that interests you, you can go ahead and make a new one.
Student Life Leadership also has amazing leadership programs, such as the Two-Quote Leadership Circle and the Leader Tree. They focus on professional development and personal growth as a student.
This concludes our tour of student life here at Cal State San Marcos. Now you know what our campus has to offer you. It's your time to make a difference. Welcome home, Cougars. Here at Cal State San
All right, yes. So here is a list of all of the programs, a snapshot of the student life area. You saw a number of these in the video. Some have slightly changed, like my own department was referenced as Student Life and Leadership in the video, but now it is known as Student Leadership and Involvement Center. ASI, or Associated Students Incorporated, our student life centers, which include the Black Student Center, the Cross Cultural Center, Gender Equity Center, Latin X Center, as well as the LGBTQA Pride Center. We also have Campus Recreation, the University Student Union, and our Veteran Services all fall within the same umbrella. And so we all work together as a team to be able to offer a variety of different programs and services to many different populations, as well as expose students to a variety of different populations and connect students in a variety of different ways. So why would involvement be important, Robert? And you're muted, Robert, sorry.
We're reading each other's minds. Yes, so why is involvement important? I kind of alluded to in my introduction. We're gonna look at some statistics and look at some things that will back up involvement. But I really do, I tell students every single day, like, yes, it is important and I'm all about education. That's why I'm a lecturer. That's why I waited 40 years to become an elementary school teacher. education is really important and what they're learning in the classroom is important. But the experience that they have is really what they're going to remember and is what's going to get them to class. If they're having some fun experiences where they're meeting folks, where they're developing their leadership skills so that maybe in the classroom they're more apt to ask questions and feel more empowered to be a part of the discussions. Those are things that involvement helps with. Students kind of come in that first semester and a little shy, a little kind of, unsure of where to go. And so we really provide, as you saw that list, a multitude of opportunities for folks to find something that maybe they're already were interested in high school, to find a connection now in college. And then as they begin to develop and meet folks and hear from other students the other opportunities, they then can move on and look for things that maybe they weren't interested in before, but now they're in college, they want to experience new things, they want to look at new environments, meet new people, as I said earlier, meet people that are different than them. There are many other opportunities for them to connect with. And that experience is really what keeps them going. We really have thought very strategically, especially in the first year of students' college experience, because that tends to be the time that we lose them. They lose that drive to be there. And many times those are the students that are just going to class because it's just not enough of an experience for them. Meeting new people, making new friends. I tell students all the time, these are the friends that you're gonna have for a really, really long time. I told you I've been here 11 years. I look at students that graduated in the first 2 to 4 years that I was here that are now getting married and beginning to have families. And those folks that are in their weddings are their students, their friends that they met while they were in college. They've stayed connected and they now are a part of their family that's growing as they bring children in, they become their godparents, they're there celebrating birthdays of their kids. And so this is a great opportunity to really grow that friend group. I think a lot of times people feel distanced from their high school friends because they tend to go in a variety of different ways to different colleges and they become disconnected. And so it's this new rebirth. It's this new, I used to teach kindergarten and I tell students all the time, this is the same thing. It's a brand new experience. Try to take in as much as you can. And I think they'll be surprised. We've had so many students that come in not so excited. Maybe Cal State San Marcos wasn't their first choice. And they usually say by the third year, sometimes second year, they're like verbally saying how excited they are that they ended up here or that Cal State ended up being the college that they came to. Because we're smaller, because we offer so many of these opportunities for them to get connected, it makes their experience so much better. And we get to see those 3.5 to 4.0s. And sometimes you think, oh, they're balancing so many things. How does it happen? It just does. They're so driven and they learn through their connections that their peers are doing the same thing, study groups. There's a whole variety of ways by putting yourself out there. It helps with the academic piece.
And so Robert shared all of that, and I think that that's, fantastic and grand and all, but I have a wife that's an accountant and she would be like, well, what are the numbers? Tell me a little bit more. What are the numbers that actually mean that, you're actually doing valid work, and how does that impact? So here's a couple of things that hopefully, convince you, and then also you can share with some of your students and we'll strategize in a non-nagging way, as we were kind of talking about earlier. But first, according to our annual alumni survey, right, 3 out of 4 alumni say that co-curricular activities, so the things that often a lot of the work falls within student life, enhance their classwork and skills. Alumni who are often involved in student life rated CSUSM as the best years of their life and were more likely to find a job within 6 months of graduating. So they're using those skills that they learned while doing all of these other activities to apply them. So, connecting with other people, connecting with people with different backgrounds, just utilizing their passions, all sorts of these different things helped them be employable much faster after their time period of graduating. And they also had better relationships with their faculty and were more likely to stick to academics year year after year. So this is persistence, right? Coming back. They learn a lot of these skills through this process, and they actually get to practice them a little bit more in interacting with a variety of different these centers, with student orgs, with these activities, all sorts of different things. And all of this in comparison to students that were not involved, right? So those are the numbers. So hopefully I did my wife proud. But the next question, right, Robert, is how can I get my
So how can I help? Which is probably why we saw in the answers to my first question is why you are here. How do I help? How do I do this without nagging? I mean, we're giving you some specifics, and I do encourage folks to kind of talk to your student about some of the things that we're showing you, because every student is different. For some folks, like Tony just said, like his wife wants the numbers. As I said, I'm a little skeptical. I want to see it, and I have seen it, and I can back up student stories with those statistical numbers. Everyone's different. They may want the stories. They may want the statistics. They may be like, Mom, leave me alone. Dad, leave me alone. Grandma, leave me alone. As I said in the beginning, I think it's important for family units to really stress we're now a Cougar family, and we really want to be a part of this experience, and that this is not just your experience, but our experience. And we want to be here to help you. We don't want, we don't want to be the nagging person, but we want to open communication as, you're entering into adulthood and experiencing these things. But I would say with the virtual piece, saying, things are a little different, probably not the experience that we all were expecting, at least in this first year of college experience. And so let's work through it together. Sharing the things that we're going to share with you, the opportunities. And then I think just checking in regularly, but maybe not every day, saying, so we had that talk, we looked at some of those options. And I think even when you're looking at the options we're going to show you, we're going to challenge you to kind of set some goals. I think challenging your student to do the same thing, picking, maybe 2 to 3 things that they want to go check out. Always letting them know, just because you go check it out, just because you pop into a student org meeting, doesn't mean you're now chained to that student org. Go and check it out. You may not be connected with the students that are there, and that's okay. But there are 150 other options for you to go try to find that connection piece. And so don't feel bad about, oh, well, I went to it and it just wasn't really my thing. There are so many other options. You've got to give yourself the time to find that. I tell you, once you get them to find one connection, one thing that really validates themselves, one thing that excites them, one thing that is an interest and they want to learn more about, that's when we see students, then it goes from 1 to 3, sometimes 5. Then we have to step in and go, okay, so now you're involved in 5 different things, still checking in on grades and classes, which is something I do on the daily. Okay, and then they start talking about wanting to do a 6th and a 7th thing. And so we start having those discussions with them about kind of narrowing and keeping it, keeping it balanced, keeping it holistic, maybe looking at it and saying, oh, are you doing something for wellness? And that doesn't necessarily mean joining a team or going out and playing sports. I think a lot of times when you talk about wellness, people think, and I dealt with that with my center. The students in my center are not going to go play football or going to go to a sporting game usually. But what we did end up doing was bringing yoga into the space, and the students really have found something that gives them some relaxation, that gives them, we also do mindfulness. So we have 2 kind of more relaxed versions of wellness and not having to break a sweat. So I want to ask, so any questions from what I just kind of threw out at you? Anything that's just kind of that you want to ask?
And you all are welcome to utilize the chat feature, or if you click on the bottom of your screen, the participants tab, that will allow you to raise your hand, in which case we can unmute you and you can share aloud so that it's a little easier for you to speak aloud to whatever question you might have.
Thank you, Christiana. Yeah, I'm used to the back and forth. I appreciate that.
So we had a question that came in of asking, is the fair the best way to find groups? I will say it is one way to find groups, and it is kind of like that instant, like, oh, I can get a bunch at one time kind of thing. So, and what's referenced is the Student Organization Fair, which is happening tomorrow as well as the following Tuesday during U hour from 12 to 1. We have about half of our student organization groups signed up. And usually that's actually kind of the case because even when we did it in person, we'd only have limited space to be able to have the student organization. So, I just want to make sure that it's reminded that not every student organization is represented there because either they just, normally wouldn't be able to physically table, but we have our website. If you go to it, we have our database of all of our student organizations, and they can always follow up with any student organization, because if you miss your opportunity to go to the fair or an organization wasn't at the fair, that's not the only time that you can join. But I would say, Tari, that it is one of the best places to kind of see a large amount of them at once. I will also say that it can be overwhelming for some people, right? Because if they are just not used to seeing and interacting with so many people at once, that might be a bit much. Every time that I've gone to a student organization fair, I've been like, oh, well, I'm just going to interact with the groups that I, kind of feel more comfortable with. And that's okay. You don't have to make it to every single, booth and talk to every single person, because that just might not be your style, and that's okay. But I would say that that is one option, and that the opportunities to join continue on as well. So
I also think it shows students that there's not just one or two groups, that there really is this large number. We talk about it, and I think sometimes students think, oh, well, it's just going to be a bunch of things that I'm not interested in. When they can see that there's a large group and then know that that's not all of them, I think sometimes it triggers that, oh, I want to know more. Or they will at least find one or two that they want to maybe attend that first meeting, maybe talk to one of the students that is a part of the group, and it kind of begins that interest level.
So we have a question about, they have a super shy student and somebody that's bummed about not being in person for freshman year. Believe us, we feel very similar. We're also bummed, but we also do feel and hope that we can support in the same way. Recommendations to make virtual more appealing. I would say that, I think it's getting over the hump for what I would see is, the students that we have had participate in our events and programs that we've had so far, when they've actually stayed past that first few minutes and get past a little bit of the awkwardness, then they've really, all of our feedback has said that they've enjoyed the program. They've stayed engaged throughout the program. Sometimes we've had to, tell students, okay, well, you can meet on your own. We're going to have to shut down this program because, some of us it's getting late or that kind of stuff. So I think that the biggest thing that I've seen, and Robert, any things that you have, it is kind of getting a little bit past that. And it is for all of us, right? I mean, this is just not the way that we normally necessarily do that. But, once you kind of make at least that first connection and that willingness to, and encouraging them to kind of just try to get past it, stick it in there for at least the 10 minutes. And hopefully within that 10 minutes, our goal is to definitely try to get something generated, connected in that first few, and then hopefully it blossoms from there.
And I think a lot of times students, they get used to Zoom really quickly and they think, oh, I just come blasting into this room. Here's my picture. I'm expected to talk. Just let them know that's not the expectation of all of us. We understand we're all transitioning, that if they just want to pop into something and not talk and not put their picture up, they're welcome to do that. We need all students to kind of come to us in stages. Sometimes they just want to come in and listen and kind of see what's going on. And then maybe they have a question and they just want to use the chat. Then we get students to then kind of open up their microphone, and then they're actually talking. And then they start feeling a little more comfortable. And then the students will say, oh, we want to see you. And then they feel much better. And then they open up their camera. And so letting students know that it's not all about just popping in face first and you're in the middle. It's like jumping into a classroom and you're in the middle and everyone's like staring at you. I think that's a fear that we've heard from folks, and that's not the expectation. When you come into a room, we're not going to be like, turn on your microphone, turn on your camera, you can't stay. It's about doing it at your own pace, finding at your comfort level. And I think when folks are nervous, they feel like, oh, I'm going to be like center stage. Another thing I want to say, I saw earlier that there are some folks that have students that are already living on campus. So one of the things that I actually spoke to a parent right as school started, and have been then talking to more and more students, and they're doing it. We'll show you and talk to you about the University Student Union has an actual computer lab. For students that are on campus, I recommend that they get up, get dressed, make themselves pretty, like you're going to go to class, get in that schedule. And yes, you're probably not going to walk all the way across campus to Mark Steen. That's like the furthest building. Like they're going to dread when they have a class there because it's going to take them an hour to get there. Like they only have to walk up the hill, and the USU is right there, the University Student Union. And so get dressed, go there. You're going to be around students. You may be socially distant, but I think even seeing students and doing their classwork and their online engagement there is going to be a much better experience than sitting in their apartment the whole time. We really want to get them out. And I think making yourself feel good, looking in the mirror, we were all told that when we first went virtual. And I was like, really? I'm in my TV room. Like, I don't know how pretty I gotta look. But it helped us. I think it really helped us to stay engaged and stay up, because it can be overwhelming. And I can only imagine being a first year student is already overwhelming enough, that if you're going to stay in your apartment in housing, they're not going to make it. They got to get out. They got to be around people. They have to be. And I think walking outside, San Diego area is beautiful. They're going to be in nature. The campus is beautiful. They're going to walk up to the USU. They're going to go in. There's going to be students there to check them in, so there's some connection. They're going to go into this giant ballroom with lots of spaces to work, and so they can look around and see. So they're having maybe a little different classroom experience, but it still resembles that. And I really do. The students that have already started doing it, and they've seen an uptick in the folks that are doing it. So I won't take all the credit, but I'm hoping that my push to students and students that have said they've begun doing it and do feel better about themselves, that's going to be a way to begin to get them into that experience. So when we do transition back to campus, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to get up, and you're gonna, they may not always make themselves pretty. My students come to class in PJs and whatever else they, rolled out of bed, even if it's a 4 o'clock class. But making themselves feel good and being a part of a community, even if the community is a little bit different, I believe is going to be helpful. There we go. We got the hours.
And then just to add on to what Robert was saying in regards to kind of, allowing students to ease in, I would even like flip it on, your student if you want, in the sense of like, well, in an in-person event, you wouldn't actually be able to enter the program and, have just a blank screen over you, or be muted and not say anything. Might be more difficult to actually do that. So in a way, they can actually approach some of these programs in a more safer way if they want to feel more comfortable about it. Like you said, do those little tiny steps. Just, pop in, utilize the chat. There was a question about, not necessarily using the video in a Zoom. For example, I mentioned that the Student Org Fair is actually being hosted on our Hopin platform, which is actually more primarily a chat based. So a lot of our student org leaders will probably be on video just because they are kind of more used to that. But really, they can answer questions via the chat. You choose whether you want to be able to enter that, but they fully expect and understand that students are going to ask questions, and they're probably going to respond similarly by just typing into the chat. So these are all things that I think that, in a sense, the virtual environment allows us to approach programming, and especially I think for those people that are a little bit on the shyer side, allows them a different opportunity that maybe feels a little bit more comfortable than the in-person, like, well, I have to step into this room if it was in person. So it's a little bit different. So I think that's a way to kind of spin it as well, to encourage your student to participate. But some very specific things maybe that we can mention in regards to being able to encourage your student. And some of those things were mentioned, and Robert kind of alluded to some of those things as well. Hopefully you all have been encouraging or have been aware too of our weeks of welcome. They have been started already, and we have a number of different programs still continue to go on. So encourage them to look at that. The 25 Live calendar actually has, or the New Student and Family Programs website actually has a good link to all of this. So plug to Christiana and Tyler for that. It curates all of these programs together. So they got a ton of stuff to visit. Make sure that they visit our student org fair, which, like I said, is happening tomorrow and the following Tuesday. If they are living on campus, make sure they're meeting their resident advisor, and make sure that they are checking in with them, because they can also help facilitate some of that process. Make sure you check out our Student Life Cultural Engagement Center. We have all of those spaces, and Robert can probably speak to this a little bit more. All of those virtual centers are having kind of like drop-in open spaces for people to just swing by and make those connections. You can also participate in recreational programs. We'll talk more specifically about some of the things being offered. Check out those involvement opportunities that match their interests, right? So this is really a chance for them to explore and ask themselves, what are they interested? And this might be something that is a continuation of what they were, or maybe they actually are looking for something entirely new. I always feel that college is the place to, explore that, and maybe it's reaffirming that you were right about what your interests were, or maybe you're discovering something new. Spend the time, right? So just kind of be able to explore a lot of these different kind of virtual spaces, go around with student organizations. There are a lot of things being offered and opportunities. Robert?
All right, so recognizing that we are in this virtual world, we wanted to give you some really specific things that are happening virtually on campus. Virtual spaces. So if you may have noticed, I just changed my background. So this is the background for our virtual Pride Center. And all the centers kind of have a variety of backgrounds to try to help students feel more like they are actually in our spaces. And this one, my students created it with, these are all things that are on the wall and in the space if I move, including the beanbag in the center that you see Christiana smiling. These are all things that are actually in our center. And so wanting students to become familiar with these, and then our hope is, well, our hope was when we went back in the spring. Now our hope is when we go back in the fall, that they will then recognize all of these things and realize that what they have been looking at while hanging out in our space actually really exists. We do have a whiteboard. We do have all these flags everywhere. We do have a bulletin board that has our Christmas photo on it and all of these other there is a giant beanbag in the middle of our space to hang out in and relax. And so ways to get involved through our student life centers, we're all on Instagram and we all have newsletters. And so I think what I've learned as I continue to learn this social media thing, that a lot of students tend to be on Instagram. If they're not, let them put in, just search CSUSM and see a variety of things are available. And that could be a first way to connect as they begin to see what organizations are doing, what our student life centers are doing. Participating in those virtual programs that are happening daily. The centers, Campus Rec, we're gonna go through specifics. Like there are things happening every single day that, again, I said students can just pop in and check out. Be active, join a sports league. There are online mindfulness several times a week, exercise classes, virtual outdoor adventures that we heard where the student was talking about the trips that we actually do. I'm hoping that they will keep doing the virtual stuff even when we go back to campus, because I think sometimes when trying to convince students to go, because it tends to be a really, really great deal and a great experience, they're a little timid. I think almost seeing a virtual experience of what you're going to go through and how it's going to be is almost that like step in, and like we were talking about, to be like, oh, that might be something I really want to do. And Campus Rec does wellness. We all do wellness. We understand the stress that students go through. And so really trying to offer as many opportunities and different opportunities so that at least maybe one or two things kind of fit a student need. I talked about the USU Computer Lab. I really think that it's going to be a big part of getting students out of housing, but then even students maybe that live locally that are kind of don't have access, or they're having some difficulty to maybe use that as a resource. You heard about Cougar Pantry in the video. So every Wednesday in Chavez Circle, which is again that same circle that is in front of the USU. So students are not having to walk anywhere further than that little bit of a jaunt, that they can, as a student, take part in that and get the items that ASI is providing for students. And then we talked about 25 Live, and I did see that Christiana put the link. I think that's going to be one. That and Instagram are going to be the two things that I think are really going to help students see the variety of things daily that are being provided to them. And then, you know, hopefully with setting some goals of trying to find 2 to 3 things that they want to at least try out, that they can find them through those 2 avenues.
So we're not going to spend too much time on this because I want to be able to get through and maybe just have more of a conversation. But I think that the important thing is hopefully we've been able to give you a couple of very specific items that you can encourage your student to do. The way, and really, hopefully it's having a little bit more of an honest conversation about just what is it that your student wants to be involved in, and are they? And I love podcasts, so forgive me, I'm injecting that into this, but I was listening to a podcast that was just really talking about there are kind of 2 different ways that we can go in this time period of our pandemic. We can kind of shrink back, and then what kind of productivity that comes from that, or is this a time to really kind of go for it and try to engage in whatever that we actually can, because there's a lot of different advantages to allow us to kind of explore that. We don't have to spend a lot of time traveling to a bunch of different things, right? If we wanted to explore a variety of different student organization meetings on campus, that might be really challenging because we'd have to physically be able to go here, go there, go that. You can hop into so many different meetings within the span of an hour without having to leave your seat. And so that's something that is allowing somebody to really kind of be able to explore some of what their interests are. And so taking the opportunity to be able to grow in that way, I think it's a different way to be able to take advantage of those things in this time period. So, think about, and your students well, what are some of those interests that they maybe just haven't checked out, and maybe just kind of drop in that hint about like, oh, did you know that, you like the outdoors? There's still the opportunity to be outdoors and even virtually connect because they're doing, virtual tours of some of these spaces, and people are going on it together. And so, experiencing that still is an opportunity to do that. So, you can work to kind of strategize, hopefully take a lot of this information and be able to filter out what kind of makes sense for what you know about your student. And we wanted to dispel or talk about some myths also in relation to involvement. So the first myth being involved will interfere with my academics. So people think that, the more that I get involved in, the more that it takes me away from different things. And that may be true if your student gets involved with, like Robert was saying, way too many things, right? But just like in all things in life, we need to find the right balance about some of these things, right? So it was, mentioned that actually the students that we surveyed, 3/4 of them reported that co-curricular activities actually enhance their classwork, research, critical thinking, writing, and oral communication skills. Like we said, these are actually places that they get to practice these things more so, right? Sometimes in certain classes, especially some of the earlier classes, there is a lot of lecture information, right? And so they don't get as much interaction with students. But these organizations, these groups allow them the opportunity to be able to practice those skills and actually enhance those skills and bring in the stuff that they learned academically to promote socially. So these are really amazing experiences that enhance that opportunity. Students experience a significantly stronger relationship with faculty as compared to other students who are not involved. I think that has to do with, often anecdotally, I would say, with getting over that shyness, right? Their ability to kind of just reach out to people as they get more comfortable with other organizations and groups also transfers to a variety of other places. So, they may not be as scared to reach out to their faculty member and ask for help, or just even check in on something. Hey, look at my paper before I turn it in. Could you give me some, points? Some tips before I actually, submit the final version, that kind of stuff. And really all of our national studies show that students are retained at a higher rate. So they stay in school because they feel more of a connection to the campus. Oh, Robert, you're muted.
Sorry, I was trying to do 3 things at once. I was like, yay, I get to do Greek life. So yes, Greek life is all about partying. Maybe in other parts of the country, but I will admit that they do I'm not even going to say fair share, but yes, they do a lot of fun things. But they really do, and I've been lucky enough for about 9 of the 11 years that I've been here to work very closely with Greek life. And a little bit of a brag, this past year I was staff member of the year. So as an elderly gay man, that's kind of something that I would have never dreamt in my entire life would happen. You just don't think that fraternities and sororities are going to be so welcoming. And we have such an amazing group of individuals on this campus. Students that are part of Greek life are just amazing. Their GPAs are higher than other folks across the campus. I'm sure, I don't know did we update the hours, Tony? They just do a huge amount of community service. They raise huge amounts of money for their philanthropies. They have to be enrolled in 6 units. They have to hold a 2.5 GPA to be a part of it. So there's that push to really do well in school, and it's not just about partying. But the connections and the community that folks build and the variety of Greek life organizations that we have on campus is just really amazing. I can't speak highly enough about the students, the student leaders, the leadership that students learn within Greek life. And then the big bonus is that they stay connected for life with folks that are going to help them find jobs and help them, but yet they didn't have to really go through, I think, some of the things that students go through on other campuses that are not the best parts of Greek life. We're really, really lucky that we just have had some amazing student leaders in Greek life that have really been able to get it to where it is today, overly inclusive of all students, no matter how they identify. Every organization is different, as we said about student orgs. It's about finding what clicks for you. And so if folks are interested or even thought they never might be interested in Greek life, I highly recommend you check out some of the fraternities and sororities. And don't think just because you walk up to the first one and they're not really kind of your people, move on to the next one. Like, they are all so different that there are so many students that have joined Greek life that never in their life would have imagined. And they're having the best experience of their life that they just never would have thought could be an experience for them. All right, I'm gonna stop because I can gush and gush and gush.
Well, I'll throw in just another thing or two, mainly because it's personal for me. I am a fraternity man, and it also is the area that I help to oversee. These organizations at their core are values-based organizations, right? So they are bound together by principles or values that their founding fathers came together to be able to promote. And those things run a wide spectrum, but they often come back to very similar core things. And in this time period, those things are stressed even more so because those are the things that they are founded upon. And if you cannot do the other stuff, then you're going to focus more on that, right? And that is the message that we've been talking to our fraternity sorority life leaders. And that is the thing that they are up to the challenge about bringing back, right? Because, what does your commitment to your academics look like? All of our organizations have that element. And as Robert mentioned, our student organizations, the fraternities and sororities in particular, have an overall higher GPA. And that is because of the connections that they have, their ability to pool resources together, their accountability measures, right? And so those are a variety of different things that can help particular students out in that experience. So I'm done too, sorry. So Robert and I definitely enjoy those elements. But one more myth that we wanted to dispel and make sure that you are aware of is the idea that employment interferes with academics. We feel that employment is similar to a co-curricular activity in the sense that that is the place where they can gain a lot of experiences and apply the information that they learned in the academic. But just like their involvement in a variety of different things, it has to be kind of balanced, right? We oftentimes encourage our students not to work more than 20 hours a week. This applies to our own student workers on campus.
And we do, as employers, really work to teach them the skills, that transferable skills, as we call them, that they will be able to use when they get their real job, as students sometimes say. I don't think they step into a student employee job thinking that it's maybe sometimes their first job, and so they're a little worried about it, or they, but we really do, it almost is this like job prep. And the grades thing is really important, and know that just because it says they have to have a 2.0, as Tony said, many of us raise that quite a bit. For me, 2.0, especially as a faculty member, that's kind of just hanging on. I want the 3.0s, the 3.5s. And I can speak again from experience that I've seen students that come in to work for me that their GPAs have gone up. And that's what we want to see. We want to see them figure it out, figure out their time management, figure out what they need to do to be successful, not just in employment, but also at this time in their schoolwork. And then hopefully they can take those transferable skills into their life in the future and be able to manage their day-to-day life along with their work life.
Awesome. So I was just responding to a question in the chat. Somebody asked if a freshman can be in Greek life. So I shared that there are a couple of eligibility requirements to start with. At least 12 college units need to have completed, along with a few other things. I provided the website that shows that eligibility requirement, but generally, for the most part, after the first semester, our students are usually eligible to join or go through the process. We still check, to make sure that they are qualified or meet those, but some of those are, they need to have a cumulative GPA of 2.5, they need to be enrolled in at least 6 units, and be in good standing. Should a student reach out before completing their first semester? We have, and some of our Greek organizations will be participating in the student organization fair as an example. Depending on what organization they're joining, some of the processes look different. So for example, if they want to join one of the Panhellenic organizations, they go through a formal recruitment process. And so even though they might reach out and talk to one of those organizations, if they go through the process, they're going to be exposed to all of the organizations and experience a process where they would kind of do a mutual selection process to join one of those organizations. However, if they're joining one of the other groups, the process looks a little bit different. So they're more than welcome, and I would highly encourage that they always do their research, because you want to look and see, okay, I said these are values-based organizations. You should look into what those values are and see if those already align with what the student is involved in. Many of them are involved with large philanthropic organizations. Is that a passion that one of your student wants to be able to give towards on a regular basis? Those kind of things. So
yeah, this time can really give them, that first semester gives them that opportunity to really check them all out, because there's quite a few. And so, begin to figure out maybe what 1 or 2 or 3 you might be interested in, do that research so that when spring comes along, if any of those are doing recruitment, then you can begin that process and begin to find out more. I think we're to questions, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yay.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, we have done our formal presentation and are happy to be able to answer any questions that you might have, steer you in hopefully the right direction and the right resource, if we can pull it up fast enough and those kind of things. So are there any questions? Feel free to type it, or as Christiana had mentioned earlier, if you want to raise your hand to be able to be unmuted to ask the question, if that's easier for you as well.
Yeah, and I would love to hear. I'll challenge you all like we do students. We've seen faces. Um, then you can maybe talk to your student about just using your microphone and just actually talking on Zoom and talking to us. Then you will have had that experience that then you can share kind of with your student. Just a little challenge. I'm always up for throwing out a challenge. Anyone?
Robert, we were just so good. We answered every single question that
That would
everybody
make me
had.
nervous. Come on, someone's got a question. I'm the teacher. I'll start calling on people. How can we be of service in this time? How can we help you to help your student?
So I think I saw earlier there was like an inquiry about us, is the university doing outreach to students and, you know, trying to bring them in rather than students having to seek us out. I would say yes, you know, we're definitely trying and reaching out. This is often, I would say, a two-way street as well, right? So we're doing our best to be able to get information to our students. You know, the challenge on our end is that we don't know what the student is interested in particular. They also may not know either. But you know, a little bit of it is, okay, you know, be on the lookout and be really open to it and helping them be just open to that idea. Because we're definitely putting information out there, trying to reach out to students as best as we can. But you know, this obviously makes it a little bit more uniquely challenging for us this year. But you know, definitely there are different ways that the students can start to just show their involvement or to just even start to get information, right? All of us run social media channels and they can start to just preview a little bit about what is being offered for those students there. They can come to some of those events and, like I said, tiptoe into it. You know, they don't have to show their video, they don't have to release their audio, but they could just chat with people. But as Robert kind of mentioned, they could be, they challenge them to kind of be able to step a little bit further out of their comfort zone. Otherwise, they might just stay in the same place. So, oh, there is a hand up. So Tari is asking, and then, so go ahead and unmute.
There we go. Hi.
Yeah, sorry about that.
My name's
Didn't see it.
Terry, and I was just
sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I was just asking in regards to the students that were living on campus, since it's such a unusual, very isolating year to start as a freshman. I was just wondering what if somebody responded saying that the RAs were reaching out and just kind of more directly than just, you know, the posts and things like that, just kind of checking in to see like, hey, there's this going on, or what do you think about this? Or do counselors reach out to just kind of check in?
I can help from the housing perspective things. So RAs don't just like send things out. They do something knocks and so go around in stores and engage with their students on a regular basis. And so their minimum expectation is that they have to go around, I believe it's once a month. And so I think that's something to keep in mind is that, you know, when the RA reaches out or they connect with them, that they kind of have to take that first step forward and put a really good message out there about the fact that there's opportunities, sometimes just taking that first plunge or that first step forward. Somebody said one time to me, and I don't know if it was actually our student life friends here, but think of involvement as like a bus, and you jump on the bus and you jump off the bus, and you can jump back on the bus and you can jump back off the bus. It's, you know, it may have stops along the way, but you can kind of jump in and out and join and connect with different opportunities as you go along. And so the RAs do reach out, they do these knock knocks where they go door to door, literally, to support getting the students involved and connected. But again, sometimes it's a student to like actually take that step and nudge forward. Sorry, no, I keep freezing on my end, so I'm not sure if I froze again and or if everyone was able to hear me. Could hear me? Okay, fantastic. Great. Looks like there's another message in the chat here. Fantastic. Thanks for the message there. I think something else that's helpful would be something to take note from a family programs perspective is, highlighting some of the different opportunities for involvement for families so they can nudge folks along in the process. So we'll definitely take note of that and keep that in mind as we progress forward with our newsletters and whatnot as well, and trying to be more thoughtful about engaging families in what is offered as well.
Yeah. Just another suggestion that I forgot about earlier when I was talking about kind of the newsletters and stuff, at least for the student life centers, if you are interested and you happen to be on Instagram, or you can get you are welcome to sign up for our newsletter so you could actually see what's going on. And then maybe if you see something that you think your student might be interested in, if they're not, then you could have some specifics about some suggestions to get them connected. Just something else.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Robert. Thank you for sharing. If there's no other questions, I'm going to kind of run through a couple of wrap-up slides. Is there anything else that Tony or Robert you'd like to share with the group or the audience before I jump into that?
I just think hang in there. I mean, I think we're all going through it together, and we are here to help. Please, continue to use Family Services. They can connect you with us if you have specific questions for us. They are great, two amazing folks that can be a great resource to you all. And just know that I'm also available at any time. I'll speak for myself and not for everyone else. But I've been involved and helped a lot of families kind of work through the on-campus thing, and am very much available to help through this kind of uncharted territory that we're going through. My goal for being at Cal State San Marcos is to help any and all students to be engaged and just have the best experience they can. And if I can help parents and family members to be able to be a part of that and to help in that, I'm all in.
And I'll echo Robert's, sentiments as far as being able to be connected with and those kind of things, whether it be with your student or yourselves if you have inquiries or those kind of things. My 2-year-old will ensure that I'm up and awake and able to answer any question at any hour of the night. So I'm happy to do that. But the only other thing that I would add is that there are so many different things that we have to offer for your students, and that I think that, oftentimes it doesn't have to be everything, but if they can find that one thing, I think that can make a world of a difference in the experience, even in this virtual time period. But very much so, this is a family affair, a Cougar family affair, to be able to get your student involved and us to be able to help with that process and help them find that thing that engages them as well. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. And I'll give you all a nice round of applause here. And my appreciation for you joining us this evening with our families. A few additional support tools that are available are Cougar Care Network through our Dean of Students office. So New Student Family Programs is actually housed through the Dean of Students office. And our Cougar Care Network is an opportunity for, or a safety net for students when they are kind of go elsewhere. And families, it's just the same. If you need support in kind of figuring out what resource, you can reach out through the Cougar Care Network. You'll see on the next slide here as well a mention about our opportunities to encourage you along the way with getting your student involved. I think that this was for any transition support. And you can read some of these silly messages here, but oftentimes your student is going to come to you with this like, need to be enabled, so to speak. And so it's our hope that we're empowering you to empower your student, and that your response is to connect them with resources, and not dwell on the frustration or the comments, so to speak, of, you know, what they don't understand or what they don't like, but rather helping them get empowered in the services and opportunities that are available to them at State San Marcos. And then we also have an opportunity for families to continue to engage and get connected. And as Tony shared, you know, this is a affair, so to speak. And so our web series continues. The next one will be offered about financial aid. And so financial aid information, you can see the family web series RSVP link there if you would like. We will continue to send to you as you RSVP'd for this event the additional opportunities. So with that, the next one is on September 30th, and that right before the financial aid FAFSA DACA reopen up again. And so it's really important for you all to reapply FAFSA if your student receiving aid, that's reapplied every single year. And so that will be a timely session. Wednesday, we'll be starting a little bit earlier at 6:30 for that one. Opportunity to the go-to so that our online modules are open and available, and our family hook is also listed there on the screen if you have questions or want to learn more about services and resources offered at Cal State San Marcos. Towards the bottom there, you'll see some information about some of our additional ways to connect with us. So hopefully you've already received e-newsletter number 1. There'll be another throughout the semester here. Those will come out about twice a semester. Engage families and get them up to date with information going on across campus. You'll see our family's website, which is where this session recorded will be posted once we get it closed captioned and ready to go. The 2 email addresses, one for English speaking family and one for Spanish speaking response, are also listed there. And our homecoming family game night. So homecoming this year is the week of October 18th. And that Tuesday evening, which is the 20th of October, we will have a fun family game night. And we hope to see you all there and bring out the whole family to join us in some fun virtual games. And maybe you can kind of experience what it looks like to get involved and connected and see a sampling of some of the opportunities that students can get connected with, such as like one of our game nights we hosted during Weeks of Welcome that we'll be hosting and welcoming all families to join us with. I think I'm on my last slide here, Tyler, if you'll advance me one more. And if you're interested in getting involved and connected, it's what better way to hear about Cal State San Marcos from veteran families themselves. And so if you're interested in volunteering or supporting the next wave of Cal State San Marcos families in transition to the university, we encourage you to reach out to us to get involved and connected in that way as well. I believe there is actually one more slide, I'm sorry. And this is our general contact for you to connect with us if you have questions or need support. But we'll stick around for another few minutes or so here if you have questions. But I want to thank you all for joining us this evening. And I will go ahead and stop our recording. Thanks so much. And again, if you have questions, feel free to raise your hand. We mute you, put it in the chat. That would be fantastic.